throughout the whole pregnancy, it's our first baby, and you think nothing's going to happen to you. It only happens to other people.
Well, I was expecting, to get huge and uncomfortable, and next thing you know, you're in the hospital, and a week later, you got 2 babies, really, really early.
It's just a whirlwind at first to get a grasp of, as far as all the things that are going on, and everything's just in a constant state of flux.
For parents of babies born early, there's suddenly so much to learn and to feel, and all in unexpected surroundings. As you begin your journey as a new mother or father, it helps to know about the powerful and practical ways you can support your baby's development while in the special care nursery. The experiences of the families in this program show how your presence and care make a difference. No matter how uncertain you may feel at first, and no matter how small your baby may be.
I never cried so much in all my life. I mean, it was a difficult situation for me in my life, but we have a lot of family and a lot of support, and that's got us to where we are today. 3 pounds, which is a long way from 1 pound, 2 ounces.
When parents first come into the NICU and they see their premature infant for the first time, it's always shocking to them because that's not what they had in their mind for what their baby was going to look like. And then top it off with all this technology on top of it and all these beeping alarms all over the place. It's really, and the activity around them, it's really hard for them. So the first thing that I would want them to know, they already know it, but I want to reinforce it, that their baby is special. Their baby is special to them, and their baby is special to us.
In the special care nursery, there are so many new faces to get to know, and complicated medical terms and technology. No wonder most parents feel a wide range of emotions.
I came down by myself when Tanya was in recovery, and my first feelings were of abject terror. She was tiny the first time I came down, and we have pictures, and it's like I didn't even know how to pick her up.
For mothers, these intense feelings may follow major surgery and come at a time when hormones are shifting rapidly.
When Lazarus was born, they asked me if I wanted to touch him. And I didn't want to put my hands on him because his little skin looked so delicate that if I touched him, I would rub it off. So I drew my hands back because I was afraid, because he was so tiny. I was kind of afraid of him in a way.
So sometimes I'm a little overwhelmed. Like right now, if I can't quiet her down, I get a little nervous. And I just feel like maybe I'm not what he probably needs. Sometimes you feel like that a little bit.
It's understandable. It's tough in here. This isn't what you were expecting.
No.
But just you being here is a big part of it.
It's okay.
Because she knows you, and she knows your voice, and she knows your smell. And you're the best person that can be here for her.
Yeah, because you had the baby, but you have never experienced what most people experience, just being by yourself with your own baby. Can't. It's not real, really. Not yet.
Oh, really?
Maybe
but for
when they
her,
go, yeah.
You being here is real. This is it. This is the best thing that can happen. For you to be here and to hold her, to talk to her.
When I walked into the NICU with all the equipment, it's hard to know that I was as important as those machines to my baby's well-being.
When we think that it's not much that we can do as parents, it is a lot that we do. But we're just not aware of it at that given moment because we're so overwhelmed by the whole situation.
Just knowing when he had his heel pricked to take some blood, that I could reach in and let him grab my finger and he would know, okay, there's somebody here who loves me, who's gonna help me get through this. This became really important for me so that he had some sort of constant in his life.
Parents are the biggest asset that a nursery has, are the most important component of the baby's overall well-being. They'll always have a much deeper, more unconditional understanding of the baby than anyone else will. And that's what the baby counts on. The baby trusts the parent. The baby trusts that the parent will be there and will make it right, will make it work, and will stay with that baby no matter what.
For me, the most exciting lessons from the science of early brain development over the past decade have come from demonstrating just how exquisitely sensitive and responsive the infant brain is to its environment. And in a way, parents have the opportunity to provide a kind of environmental care that no professional can. And of course, what's exciting about the science is that it turns out that that matters greatly.
Unlike the nursery staff, you are already very familiar to your baby. And just like you were during pregnancy, you remain what is constant in her life. She counts on her connection to you to help her get used to her new world.
There's only one thing on the menu.
Milk.
Milk.
From the very start, you comfort your baby in ways that only a parent can. And in the process, you support continuing brain development and health.
Sleeping?
Eating and sleeping.
I thought it was important for both of us to be there as much as possible, because I think he needed to hear her voice and our voice. It's just, I think it's made a difference. I think that's the reason, one of the reasons that Jack's home and doing as well as he is because he knew he had support.
I know now that my voice and my presence with them made them just as healthy as the medicines they were getting and the special care they were getting. That my voice was the part that helped them, I think, heal and become the whole little babies that they are now.
So it was overwhelming to me to think about my son and his brain not being fully developed when he's born. Because in utero, he's in his nice water bed, it's quiet, he hears muffled noises, but it's a very calm, quiet environment with not a lot going on except needing to grow and develop. And now he's out in the world, he has to breathe air, he has a tube down his throat, and I was concerned that, what's going to happen brain-wise with him.
Understanding how the nervous system continues to develop after birth will help you care for your baby in ways that are good for his brain. It is in the third trimester, when many babies enter the NICU, that grooves called sulci and ridges called gyri are forming in the cortex of the brain. These grooves and ridges increase the surface areas of the brain devoted to memory, language, visual perception, reasoning, information processing, and voluntary movement.
Having his nurses say, okay, well, right now, gestationally speaking, this is where he's creating those creases and folds that are in his brain. So we need to really let him do that. We need to let those develop so that he is just growing and developing.
At the same time that the expansion of the brain's surface area is in full swing, individual neurons begin to mature and organize themselves. Dendrites and axons start to link together, and as they do, billions of connections form. And from them grow whole systems that control sight, language, thought, and movement. As the pathways between neurons develop, they are surrounded by a white fatty substance called myelin. The insulation that myelin provides helps neurons to transmit signals and information to each other with greater speed. It is when myelin is beginning to form that many of the most vulnerable babies arrive in the special care nursery, which means that the brain must continue its development in a place where sometimes painful procedures help make survival possible.
There is a critical period that begins when you're born, and you have a window where the environment shapes you, and if it's not shaping you well, then you can't reverse that later. Whereas if you shape it properly, now you've put in place something that will be with you for life.
Science is clear. The effects of early birth on the brain are reduced by caring for babies in ways that foster healthy brain development. Your love and support during an NICU stay not only make a difference in your baby's well-being now, but for her future.
One of the amazing things about having a premature baby is that you really are getting to see and experience what should be happening in utero happen in front of you.
You can talk to your children, touch them. They recognize your voice, they recognize your scent.
Oh, when I realized Lazarus had a personality, I never forget it. The nurse, he was laying on his side, and she turned him on his stomach. And I watched him. He fidgeted around, and all of a sudden he just got upset and he did a complete push-up. She said, did you see that? I said, did you see that? And I'm looking at him, I said, no, he's only a week old.
You will soon see that your early born baby is capable in many ways. He has reflexes like sucking, which he uses to comfort himself. And even now, he is able to shield himself from some of the stimulation that surrounds him. And no matter how small your baby is, he knows you and how important you are to him.
You like that, huh? Mm-hmm. I think she recognizes my voice. I'd like to think so.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You can tell she's alerting, she's opening her eyes.
Hi, Madison.
When you call her name, she really tries to look for you.
Pay special attention to the ways your baby responds to touch.
Are you having nice lunch?
You're looking all over the place now.
To your voice. Turning, looking, relaxing her body's muscle tone.
Silly girl.
You'll interact in the world by touching things, by moving in space, by visually having eye contact, by hearing things. And if you're in here like doing all of them at once, that's probably too much. And so if he blinks away, just sort of wait, and then he'll come back when he feels like it's safe. And certainly the darker and the quieter. And if he can hear like a heartbeat out in kangaroo care on somebody's chest, that's even better.
Watching your baby closely, you will see her use her particular abilities to feel more comfortable. For instance, he might close his eyes or cover his ears to protect against stimulating light and sound. As she matures, you'll notice your baby tucking her legs and bringing her arms to the middle of her chest. By gathering herself up like this, your baby returns to the position she knew throughout pregnancy. She is also regulating her temperature, keeping herself warm.
So funny, she recognizes my humming. I always hum that to her.
She knows.
She's like,
She knows you, Phil. She knows your voice, your heartbeat, your smell, the way you move.
In addition to her strengths, your baby's senses are also continuing to develop.
And she has a really, really sensitive sense of smell, and so it's nice for her to be able to smell you and get to know you this way.
Because the senses of taste and smell are the first to develop, you may notice your baby being drawn to the odor of your skin or mother's breast milk. While still in the womb, your baby's sense of hearing allowed him to hear repetitive and rhythmic sounds, like your heart beating. He also heard your voice, although it was muffled by amniotic fluid. Science has shown that parents' gentle coos and whispers help their fragile infants to experience more physical stability.
Hey there, did you have a good lunch?
This is because even though they sound different in the special care nursery, the tone and pattern of mothers' and fathers' voices are familiar to newborns. Your baby's sense of touch is already one of the important ways he experiences his world. Your finger to grasp, your firm and gentle containment will reassure him.
Can you turn that light off? She's like...
Are you looking at me? Can you see me?
While a fetus has many sensory experiences in the womb, vision is not one of them. As with full-term infants, your early-born baby's sight is the last of her senses to develop. Preterm infants are very sensitive to light, and so it is important to protect your baby from direct light and to keep her overall environment comfortably dark.
Trying to sleep regardless of all the stimulation in the room. Okay, let's see if we can create something to sort of break up some of the light here.
you know what they use sometimes? I use this stuff that they put underneath, and you make it like a little...
Like a little tent? We could do
Yeah.
both. Let's do both. Can you see her?
As your baby grows in the nursery, as he begins to settle in and then explore his new world, you will be amazed by the ways he reveals his developing senses.
Her signs of stress, she has hiccups. And what else? She usually puts her hands up in front of her. She'll scrunch her face up a little bit. Sometimes turns a little red.
Just like grown-up people, you know, there's body language involved. And with these little children, they'll let you know when they want to be left alone. And they'll put their hands up, they'll get jittery, they'll start crying a little bit. The signs are out there if you pay attention.
There was one respiratory therapist who was actually in the delivery room and intubated him right after he was born. And anytime she would come over and lean in to talk to him, his oxygen saturation would go to a 100 and stay there. So we like to say she was his first girlfriend.
Yep, we gotta do the temperature thing. You know the routine, brother.
While your baby is getting used to life outside the womb, he is working hard to tell the world who he is. As with all newborns, it will be some time before your baby is able to ask for what he needs. Until then, he communicates through his behavior.
Look how he's playing his hands. Just let him finish up. Yep. Kiss.
do it on his own time.
It takes a little while to learn how your baby tells you what he needs. But as it happens in every new relationship, you and your baby will be discovering each other day by day.
Oh, he is so handsome. Look at him. All you gotta do is wait for this stuff to get off you now, buddy. Then you can come right on home and get up on me and fall asleep.
Observing your baby closely, you will start to recognize his unique personal style, his ways of telling you his likes and dislikes, and when she is tired or hungry or looking to be touched or held.
Isn't he handsome? He looked like Uncle Eric.
In the beginning, if your baby cries at all, his fussing is likely to sound weak or strained. This is because his lungs are still maturing. Her cries will sound fuller and stronger as she gets older and more medically stable.
I know. Are you hungry? You're nice and kind.
Until your baby communicates more with her cries, her quiet doesn't necessarily mean she is at ease. Looking carefully, asking yourself what her body is telling you, will help you figure out when your baby needs your gentle care to help calm her. Early-born infants rely on very subtle signs and behaviors to show that all is not right. You may notice arching of the back, flailing arms and tremors, a nose much paler than the rest of the face, a wrinkled, pale forehead, splayed, that is, spread fingers, and hiccuping. Yawning, while often a signal that your baby is tired, may also be a sign that she needs some help to get comfortable. So is a spotty or speckled complexion. This is called mottled skin. When your baby becomes hyper-alert, that is, when he looks around without really being able to focus, he is likely looking for soothing. In this sequence of behaviors, you can see a baby needing to get comfortable. Her mouth movements and tongue thrusts are one sign. Although her clothes keep her from easily bringing her hands to her mouth, she clearly wants to. Notice her face start to shift color and then become quite pale. And then there is the wide yawn, all sending the message that some gentle care would feel good.
And I would talk to him and say, it's okay. And he would go like this, and I would just talk to him, it's okay. And when I do that, he would go like this and ease his little hands down. That's when you know that he was, relaxing.
Sometimes your baby will indicate that she is feeling stress. And the very next minute, she may pull herself together and return to a more calm and relaxed state. When she does this, you are seeing your baby's amazing ability to soothe herself. And you will see more of this kind of behavior as she grows. A baby's self-soothing behaviors include bringing his hands or arms together at his chest, lifting his hands to his mouth or face, looking away or closing her eyes to shut out something stimulating, sucking on a finger, hand, or pacifier, bracing one foot against the other, or tucking her legs in close to her body. Just like the behaviors your baby uses to show stress, these signs of well-being communicate a message to you, and they are cues to use in your care. Early on, the behavior you are likely to see most is sleep, And this is a good thing, because it is while she is asleep that your baby's brain does the most growing.
Most of the body's brain growth and most of the healing of any injuries occurs during sleep. So that we need to foster sleep as carefully as we look at a baby's nutrition or oxygen delivery or any of the other things that we're used to monitoring very closely.
Preterm infants rarely enter a deep sleep until they are closer to term age. And even then, episodes of sound sleep are likely to be brief. But in light or REM sleep, when your baby's eyes are moving under closed lids, the brain is building foundations for further sensory development and later learning and memory. Sometimes it is hard to tell if your baby is asleep, because much the way he would have if he were still in the womb, he will move and stretch, pucker his lips, even smile, all while in a light sleep. And don't be surprised if your baby shifts into a more wakeful state momentarily. This doesn't mean, though, it is time for interaction. Often, a baby will be able to return to REM sleep, perhaps with some gentle containment from hand cradling or with some sucking to self-soothe. If you find yourself wondering why your baby sleeps so much of the time, it is good to remember that full-term infants also spend most of their day asleep. And in many ways, your sleeping baby is behaving the way she would have if she were still in the womb. She needs her sleep time for brain development.
When she first wakes up, she doesn't really, wake up fully. She just like... Then she opens both.
Gradually, as his brain matures and your baby adapts to life outside the womb, you may notice moments of quiet, alert wakefulness when your baby's eyes appear bright and shiny, with his body staying still and relaxed. Over the first days and weeks in the nursery, as you watch your baby express himself through his unique patterns of behavior, you will discover the best ways to support him as he heals and grows.
So what kinds of things have you found have calmed her down if she is distressed?
So if you just put your hand on her feet and you kind of do that to make her feel like, she has some sort of support, she comes down with that.
Yeah. Because a lot of times when babies are so tiny, they're looking for boundaries, often kick their legs to look for. They want to find out where they are in space because they're just not, it's a new feeling for them. So the way you're holding her now is just, it's so great because it lets her know that she has boundaries, that you're here.
My husband would come every morning and read him the sports section with a cup of coffee, and so he could hear our voice and recognize our voice. And you knew after a couple days, when we came to his bedside, you knew that he knew our voices.
Just kind of bundling her and putting her hands together, and it's amazing. It would have a calming effect on her. Or just putting a hand on top of her head.
I would put my hands inside there and make sure that they got warm before I actually touched him. But I talked to him the whole time that I had my hands in there. And then I would let him know, okay, Mommy's hands are warm now. Then I would just lay them on his head. And once I laid them on his head, I watch his SATs go up to 100.
The practical ways you comfort your baby and promote her development help her medically as well as emotionally. When a baby is stressed, she experiences changes in her heart rate and breathing. Less oxygen may make it to her bloodstream. This affects her stability and her brain health too.
The less he has to fight off his world, the better able he's his brain will be of kind of developing as it would have in utero. The happier and more contained, the better off he'll be.
The following strategies and care practices will help your baby remain calm and stable, which will lead to more opportunities for brain growth and development. One of the best ways parents nurture their baby is with what is called kangaroo care. Much like a baby kangaroo who slips into his mother's warm pouch, your early-born baby comes to rest skin to skin on your chest. Just as she did in the womb, here she is able to take advantage of your body heat and feel and hear the reassuring rhythm of your heartbeat.
On the parent quite naturally, as the baby stirs, will give the baby room, will help the baby adjust, and then the baby goes back down on the parent into sleep, and the sleep is much more securely supported.
The closeness, warmth, and smells that a baby senses while skin to skin with a parent will help him to feel at ease and to sleep. Babies tend to fuss less in this position and have fewer episodes of apnea, that is, interrupted breathing. Breathing becomes more regular, your heart rate and your baby's synchronize, and the level of oxygen in her blood goes up. All signs that your baby's brain is getting the stability and calm it needs.
What I find is that my daughters tend to saturate really well when they're kangarooing, when they fall asleep and pull their arms in close and they're just out. And it's a nice feeling to know that I'm doing something physically to help with their development.
Babies aren't the only ones who respond well to skin-to-skin contact in the NICU. Mothers and fathers do too.
At first, it was really scary for us because he was very small and there was a lot of machinery attached to him. But once he would get, nestled down on your chest, the vent tube went away, everything went away, and you just had, your son there. And actually, most of the time, we would just sleep. But it was some of the best sleep I got, and hopefully some good sleep for him.
Well, the kangarooing that we've done is just the best feeling in the world. It's incredible. We just can't even describe it in words. And it definitely helps her. She just seems so calm when we do it, and we notice her weight gain is much better when on the days after we've been here kangarooing. So we know the research is there, but we know it from personal experience.
My husband held him for the first time probably a week ago, and he was so afraid at first. He thought it was something just I should do, and Tommy he settled down, and he held him for probably half an hour, and my husband loved it. And it was the most beautiful thing for the two of them.
Oh, really?
Many parents say that kangaroo care helped them to realize that there was something they could do for their baby that no one else could. There will be times when you are not able to be with your baby. It is reassuring to know that staff pay close attention to your baby's need for calm. NICU caregivers ease your baby into a flex pose when he is in his bed.
When they're laying on their bellies, we like them to stay kind of flexed, like they were still in utero. I'm going to put the blanket up and around so that it cups his head, much like your hand would, or when he was in utero, like the womb did.
Staff, and you too, can imitate the womb another way, by using your hands to cradle your baby gently, giving him room to stretch and tuck and press against boundaries in ways that remind him of the womb. Swaddling your baby loosely with a blanket is another way to gently contain and calm her when she is not in your arms. Keeping your baby in a loosely flexed position, like this, lets her keep her hands near her face, like she did in the womb. While still developing in the NICU, your baby's brain processes information more slowly than it will only a few weeks from now, when the brain's communication pathways are more mature.
He's so calm right now.
Because of your baby's extreme sensitivity to everything around him, it helps to move slowly and quietly as you care for him.
I would stop and sort of let him recover if his oxygen saturation levels dropped really low, which is was his biggest response to these do-ups, and talk to him very quietly and be very calming.
You can appeal to your baby's sense of smell by placing a piece of cloth, which you have worn close to your chest, inside his incubator. As his brain develops, your baby will enjoy rocking and other motion. For now, though, limiting stimulation will help your baby to take in and enjoy the low-key interactions you provide. Because the sounds in an NICU often lead to stress, your baby truly appreciates quiet. Whispers sound good to him.
First place, I don't even know. Hello, buddy. How you doing this morning? Huh? How you doing?
Opening and closing the portholes of her incubator very slowly and quietly helps your baby avoid the startle that can come with sudden and unexpected sounds. And while there are sounds in the NICU you can't control, you can soften them. Having your baby wear a hat helps to keep out loudness. So does using a sound muffling blanket as an incubator cover.
All right, Jack, nighty-night.
Keeping light indirect and levels low make it possible for your developing baby to sleep well, and when she is alert, to open her eyes to the world. Because it is connected to your familiar voice and smell, your face is what your baby loves to look at most of all once her vision develops. You may not be in focus yet. Still, the expressions of love and care that your face conveys come through to your baby and help her feel more secure.
Hi, Tommy.
At the beginning of your special care experience, when so much is uncertain, it is hard to grasp what a powerful difference your presence and sensitive care make to your baby.
Does Dad see differences?
Yes.
You see big differences. That's great.
More hair.
More hair. More hair.
More on him, less on me.
So what he's getting, you're losing, is
Yes.
it?
Just being next to his bed, being able to lend a finger if he needed one to hold on to, or sing a song, read him a book, whatever he needed at that time was just that was the most important thing that I could do.
It's just an unbelievable gift that you've been given by having the babies, even when they're early, even when they're premature, that you are their mother and you know what's best for them. And you will give them what they need, even if it's just your heart and you're in their presence. It's the thing that will sustain them forever. And no one can take that away from you.
Day by day, as you get used to your unexpected hospital surroundings, it will become clearer how much you bring to your baby's recovery and development. You make things better with every loving gesture, no matter how small.